One, two, three, the lawn feed.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another podcast edition of The Lawn Feed. For those of you listening over on the podcast, cheers to you. We appreciate you listening in. For those of you watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching us. Make sure you click that subscribe button and follow us on all of our other social media channels, the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the TikToks, etc. And then check us all out on our website, www.thelawnfeed.com. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, a little bit special one for us. We are bringing in a guest, a friend of ours, Paul Kubista, the president of Twin Cities Seed Company, local to me here in the Twin Cities up in Minnesota, and kind of to have him tell his story, kind of broadcast what Twin Cities Seed has to offer for everyone listening in. And so on and so forth. So we are very, very excited to have Paul on. So welcome aboard, my friend, and welcome onto the podcast. As always, alongside us is Andrew from the Dad Bod Lawn and Vince from Rooted Lawn Co. So if you haven't followed any of those, including Twin City Seed, on social, go follow them and get them into your following group, if you would. So without further ado, we are going to pass the baton over to Paul. He is also a dad. We like having dads on. We like having parents on. And he's going to we're going to basically let him take the reins on the dad W's, the dad L's that we have pretty much every single day in life as parents, right? So we try to collect as many W's as we can. And a lot of times we fail and fall flat on our face with a lot of L's. So Paul, I'll turn the ball over to you. Of course, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you, but yeah, let's open it up with some dad W's and dad L's from your side.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me on your program. I have two dad wins and one dad loss today. My first dad win is I mow my lawn with a commercial 36-inch mower that is too large for my younger two daughters to mow with. So I bought them a walk-behind self-propelled, and so I mow certain parts of the lawn and they take care of the rest. And they're learning how to stripe, and they are super proud, and they want to mow as much as I want to mow.
That's
so
awesome.
We're pretty much out there at the same time. They want to wear the headphones with the music, and so I bought a couple more pairs of those, and I've put a lot of pictures on my personal social media about that, and so that makes me happy, and they're part of what I'm passionate about. My other dad win is today. My oldest daughter, she's 12, Maggie. She's been at a camp this week, and she came home with the biggest smile on her face and said that the challenge today at camp was to start a fire, and they could do it any way that they wanted to do it. They got their materials, and there was 25 kids, and she said, I made a teepee just like you do in your fire pit, Dad, and I'm the only one that successfully started a fire.
Heck yeah,
That's sweet.
awesome.
She was so happy. She's like, it kept going for more than 5 minutes, and nobody else could even hardly get smoke.
That's awesome.
That made me very happy. And I'm a firefighter too on the side. So I've been on for almost 10 years as a volunteer firefighter. So I like starting them, but I also like putting them out. So that was a big win today for sure.
That's sweet.
And then my dad loss is, so I like to we have a woods at our house, and I like to give our girls some different jobs out there. And this spring, I cleaned up the woods, rented a large wood chipper, and basically just chipped up a lot of the dead trees that would make the woods not safe for my girls to play in, and hanging, widow makers and things like that. So we cleaned everything up, big mulch piles. We have a fun Halloween trail every year, a terror trail that we put together. So I want it safe for that too. So basically, I asked my two girls throughout the summer, take those wood chips, wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow, make a path that is nicer than what we've had before. So I was gone yesterday, and they went back there in pretty much the hottest day in Minnesota, and they couldn't find the pitchfork. And so they improvised, but the reason they couldn't find the pitchfork is because I hide it in a certain spot in the garage, so my youngest doesn't find it and my 4-year-old doesn't get hurt. So it took them a long time just to get two wheelbarrows done because I had hidden the pitchfork. And I felt really bad about that, and they were just drenched with sweat from head to toe, and they only got two wheelbarrows done. So
For the greater good.
Yeah.
For the greater
Right.
good. It was hot too. That's for sure. I
Yeah.
can attest to that. It was sticky. Paul, so tell us a little bit about what Twin City Seed is, their function, and we'll learn a little bit about more of the history here in a sec. But what do you guys do?
Okay, so Twin City Seed, I would say, is the go-between, or basically a distributor from the companies in Oregon, Washington, Canada, some vendors overseas. We are the in-between. We sift through the best cultivars and varieties out there and pick what we want and offer that to our customers.
And who is your customer?
Well, so
Loaded question.
yeah, no, and a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, Twin City Seed, 50% of our business probably is the farm side. So we go farmers, municipalities, public schools, contractors, big to small, just your small landscaper to your huge landscaper. Pretty much business to business is the core, and then end consumer is
That's awesome.
New.
Is the newer part. Yeah. No, that's awesome. We'll get to that, I think, in a little bit too. So
Paul, I was perusing your guys' website today, and I was in the press release section, which your website's beautiful. I really like how it's done. I think you guys have done a wonderful job with it, presenting your guys' company and what you have to offer. But in that press release section, I saw that you guys are celebrating 30 years as a company. Can you kind of just talk us through the history of Twin City Seed and, the evolution, and how'd you guys get to where you are now with, you being the main guy?
Absolutely. Yep. And I have to give a shout out to the founder of Twin City Seed. His name is John Glatley. And John Glatley has been in the seed business, or was in the seed business, for almost 50 years. Wow. And he started on the East Coast out in Buffalo, New York, when his father was in the seed business and turfgrass industry. Long history there. Basically, he ran. So Northrop King used to be a big player in grass seed, and he ran and was the head of that division here in Minnesota, which covered the whole United States and had some feelers international also. So when Northrop King was strong in grass seed, he ran the whole show for that. He spent 8 or 9 years out in Oregon, where most of this grass seed is grown. So he was in the production side. He got to know the farmers. He got to know all the producers, all of the companies out there. He was a founder in getting started the Lesko company, which is not the Lesko that we know now.
Okay.
It was the original Lesko company. So he's been involved in all facets of the industry. And basically, my background before I got to Twin City Seed is I grew up in a smaller town in western Minnesota, grew up around agriculture. My dad spent 30 years as a regional sales district manager for Pioneer Seed. So I grew up around agriculture, went to school for agriculture and got a degree in agronomy. And then I stayed and got another degree in turf management. After that, I jumped right out of college into a private golf club here in the Twin Cities and worked there and we had close to a $2 million budget. So we had the best of everything. We had the best cultivars, the best equipment, the best fertilizer, basically high maintenance. And then I stayed there for a while, did a stint in the landscaping business, thinking about starting my own company in that. And then I happened to meet John Glatley at a trade show at the Minneapolis Convention Center. And we started talking, and basically he hired me as a sales rep, and he took me under his wing, and he was my mentor. And when it came time that he was ready to retire, I took a run at the company, and I'm in my 5th year now of owning Twin City Seed. So I learned a lot from him in all facets of the industry, not just selling, but really where it comes from and who produces it. So now I'm at the helm. I'm the owner and president. So.
And what's changed since you've taken over? Is there any big differences, or is it still kind of standard operations as it was?
Well, we definitely. So I had an agreement with John to stay on for a year and possibly 2 if I needed him. Kept him on for a year to try to maintain the customer base that we had, and at that time, our full customer base, we were 100% wholesale. So we were selling to contractors, cities, counties, DOT, golf courses, public schools. Basically, those were our customers. And then our other big segment was our retail side, which we would repackage and brand seed for nurseries, garden centers, farm stores throughout the 5-state area. The big change is in this winter, I decided that Twin Cities Seed needs to take the leap into the e-commerce world. So we hired a company to help us put together a full e-commerce website so we can go direct to the consumer. And the main goal in my mind was to bring the best cultivars and varieties on the market to the end consumer. Because one thing I identified a long time ago is that we love our retailers that are out there that we package for, but they have a hard time selling the high-end seed because the cost is so much. And you can see what your cost is on the website right now if you go there and look. And if we sell it to them and they have to mark it up, it gets almost out of reach.
Sure.
And it's just not competitive on the shelf. Unless we start coating our seed and doing all these other tricks to bring the cost down, we just can't be competitive.
So you brought up a good point. Like you have, you wanted to have the best cultivars on the market. So what you're saying is not all seed is the same, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. So
Really?
so you have the best cultivars. You want to be the best in the game. What can you tell homeowners a little bit more in depth about, like, what's the difference between a big box store seed versus your seed? Like things like the different tags, the blue tag, yellow tag, white tag. So can you hit on any of that?
Sure.
Cool.
Yep. And I could start with blue tag, and I brought a whole bunch here.
Just make them rain.
Make it
blue.
rain.
Yeah.
Right.
Make
like
it rain
sticky-
blue tags.
Are they like sticky
52
notes around your
card
house?
pickup. Yeah. And I did bring one yellow tag. So
Is that like the golden ticket for Willy Wonka?
It looks like
yes, I should have a golden ticket for Twin City Seed. But I sit here right now and I look at these tags and I grabbed maybe 1% of what we have, and we keep one of these tags of every seed lot that comes in. But I'm proud of that because it is more expensive. It is a process that most of these are Oregon certified tags. So there's a process in Oregon where the fields, even before the field gets planted, you go to the Oregon Department of Agriculture and you say, we have this field, or we're going to plant this field. This is what we're planning. We need you to come out and certify that what we're planting, and it's a certified seed stock that they actually plant that field with, that in fact is what we say it is. And the one I'm looking at here is After Midnight Kentucky Bluegrass. And then there's a lot of steps through that process too, where it gets inspected again during the summer, where they come out and see how are you doing on your weed control? How are you doing on other facets of the quality of that field? And before it gets harvested, it gets looked at one more time to make sure, okay, we don't identify any noxious weeds in here. We don't identify, so it's already getting kind of that stamp of approval.
Hey, so what is a noxious seed? What
noxious? So noxious seeds are like invasive species that can take over that, and it's mostly related to agriculture, where we don't. A big one is like Palmer amaranth. So basically, one Palmer amaranth plant can have like over 3 million seeds on it. And it will, as it starts taking over, there's no control method for it. There's not really any selective herbicide that's going to knock it out. And so around here in Minnesota, they have to literally go out there and burn them with torches, burn them to the ground. So it's all handwork. And
so that's another reason to go and get a blue tag, because if you're saying it's that hard to control and you go and throw down a lower quality seed, you could have these weeds in your lawn that even a non-selective herbicide is going to take care of. So it's either fire or what, like glyphosate or something to take care of it.
Yeah.
And then you're killing your lawn.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And I should expand a little bit more on, so the certified part really just means that we are certifying that field that you're going to harvest, and whatever you get out of that, let's say you get 1 million pounds, that is After Midnight Kentucky Bluegrass. And we will let you bag it with that, and we're certifying, and basically you have proven to us that in fact is After Midnight. and now you can tag it as such. So it's to the consumer, that is the first line of proof that you're getting what you want. Otherwise, I can just tag a bag after midnight and tell you that it is, and it in fact isn't after midnight.
Which I'm
It,
sure
it
there's none of that going on, huh?
right.
Yeah,
That's
that
really
was that was a big eye opener for me. And Paul, you and I talked about this when you gave us the tour on that on your facility. Was just there's such a big difference to the general consumer, to the average consumer of like all of the grass seeds that are available. Don't just go buy the $24 bag, right? For a whole bunch of reasons other than what you just listed. But on that, you don't necessarily know what you're getting because the average consumer doesn't take the time to actually just go look at the label. They just go and see a XYZ brand because it's well known and it's not necessarily the best option for them. So taking the time and educating yourself is big.
Right.
And Paul, what is
we're
the difference
finding,
between the yellow and the blue tags exactly?
okay, so then the yellow is a next step up. So typically, if it's a blue tag, that's going to mean it's certifying the variety, the cultivar. It's also typically you can get certified 0-0. So that means zero crop, zero weed. So you can actually, and this is where it gets tricky too. You can have a field where you can get it certified, after midnight certified, but it may not be 0-0. It's still just saying that that field is in fact after midnight, but it still may have some crop and it may have some weed. What we do at Twin City Seed is if I'm going to buy certified seed, I'm going to have certified 0-0. Now, if we want gold tag or yellow tag, we call it both in the industry. The next step up is what they do is they take a bigger sample. So they have to take a 25-gram sample, which opens it up to find more weeds and more things. And if you can pass that test, then you get the gold tag, yellow tag certification. And that is what all of our sod growers, they demand that. So I have to provide them with a test. They have to get a bag with a certified tag on it, with a yellow tag on it, and also with a test that shows that the sod, they call it sod quality exam, which is a 25-gram sample, has passed. And then typically, so I take all of this to the next level. I trust my vendors, but when it really comes down to, I'm working on a 16,000 pound sale right now to a sod grower here in Minnesota. I am going to make sure that what is blended up for them does not have a single um, seed of POA, doesn't have a single seed of anything. And so I'll test that one more time. So I'm giving them like 2 tests, plus basically everything I possibly can to prove that it's going to be good. Otherwise, they have to put more chemicals on, they have more input, and they have to try to control it. And they could have just started out with the best seed to begin with.
So is that Willy Wonka golden ticket sod quality, is that available to everybody on the e-commerce website, or is that limited to only certain people that you supply in mass quantities for big projects? I guess, do you guys restrict what kind of grass seed and purity that you can actually sell to an individual?
We don't. So on the Turfgrass side on e-commerce, everything that we sell individually right now, individual cultivars, whether it's perennial rye, tall fescue, creeping red fescue, or Kentucky bluegrass, that's all certified 0-0. Some of them are sod quality. We have not currently taken those pictures of the sod quality tags, but we had enough time to get the cert tags on there. So my goal is, and right now, so I'll have a meeting at the end of October is when all the companies come from all around the world, and we meet in Kansas City, and we have basically 3 to 4 days of meetings, and everybody is there, and we meet with our vendors and we start talking about what we need for the next year. And that's when I say and try to predict, like, I need 2,000 pounds of this variety gold tag, and they write it down, and I got it, like, we're good. So it's hard. I have to predict that stuff. Sometimes we run out. That's why some of my competitors in e-commerce, they run out all the time, because you take some risks going either way. But my goal is to have as much as I possibly can gold tag.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, a question for you. I know the answer, but most don't, because I had no idea what it was before we started our chats. I would post something online and get just attacked by all of these people, the pollinator lovers, right? Why on earth would you be doing this on a lawn, right? Then we go into a tour of your facility and on your website, and you have a bee lawn. Talk to us a little bit more about that. What the heck is a bee lawn? Why is it considered a bee lawn? What does it do? And what benefit can it bring?
Sure.
Is that the black and yellow tag?
Yeah, right. Hey,
Sorry.
there's another idea. Yeah. Yes, we are very proud of that. And I'll preface the explanation of bee lawn with, I will always try to carry as many products as the consumer may want. So what we find, so before we entered the bee lawn into our offering, I was in the landscaping business. So we found out that, around your house, a lot of people like a well manicured lawn. They may have some areas outside of that are not irrigated, areas that you could have native grasses, areas that you could have a bee lawn. Like, we want to offer that full gamut. It's not necessarily like I'm going to turn my whole lawn into a bee lawn, but there are areas that you might want to, that it fits. So we have a lot of different products, native products, and the bee lawn is the one that we have focused on. So I brought on the researcher that developed that bee lawn mix from the University of Minnesota, James Wolfen, and he is now on our staff. And I can't tell you exactly what the bee lawn sales are, but there are just as many passionate people about wanting that as wanting a well manicured, completely clean of weeds lawn.
Oh yeah, they come out in the comment section on TikTok, so we're well familiar with that crowd. So what? Okay, so what makes a bee lawn, right? So like you mentioned, kind of like the outskirts of like maybe an outside of a well manicured lawn, but like could someone literally replace a lawn with what you have as a bee lawn? Like what makes a bee lawn, and why is it?
Yeah.
Why is it a popular choice, or why is it a beneficial choice?
Yeah, you can replace your whole lawn for sure. So the most of the bee lawn mix is a 4-way fine fescue mix, and then there's a smaller percentages. We'll call it the original bee lawn. There's 3 flowers that James studied at the U that are low growing, that attract more than 50 different bee species. Basically, there are more flowers now that we're identifying too, but those are the first three and best ones. But the advantages to a bee lawn, there are some disadvantages too, but the advantages to that mixture as a whole is that you could really just mow once a month. It's the fescue, the fine fescues, completely different than tall fescue. Fine fescues are slow growing,
Mm-hmm.
drought tolerant, don't need any fertilizer. We recommend no even if you get a soil test when you plant the bee lawn, I recommend no fertilizer. It actually has in my opinion, and in some of the studies, it has in most cases a negative response to fertilizer. Fine fescue does not want to grow fast. You just kind of let it be and let it figure out its own environment.
No pun intended.
The negatives are like if you have, I'm not concerned about bee stings, but if you have kids and you have dogs, this mixture will not take traffic. It will not take weekly mowing. It does not want to be mowed at 3 inches. This is much better at 4.5, once a month, maybe. Just kind of just let it do its thing.
So you said fine fescue. So does it have to be in a shaded area? Because most fine fescues are, that's where they do most of their growing, is in like shaded environments. Is this any sun, shade, whatever?
It will do well in all.
Okay.
Yep. And even the flowers will do fine. Most flowers like the sun too. These particular three do great in the shade. This mixture will do good in sand to heavy clay. It basically covers the gamut for soil types too, but it will do fine in full sun.
Someday I'd love to have some property, and I only want to maintain so much of it. I feel like this would be a great thing to do just on the outskirts of where I have my nice grass that I maintain. Kind of like a nice transition into like a wooded area. Kind of maybe cut down on the mosquitoes a little bit in the area that I hang out in because it's not, too long or whatnot. But no, I think that's a great option for people that you guys offer that. I've never heard of that before. So
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of people, at least here, like here in like Minnesota and Wisconsin, it's fairly common for quite a few people to have cabins as their second place to go. And wherever there isn't a lot of traffic from your kids and activities and everything else, you just plan it and let it go. And you might not even have to mow it once a month. And you definitely don't have to irrigate it. So it's all drought tolerant. It really is. It is very simple. The key is, I would say, the first month. Establishment is the key. So you do have to give it some water. When I say no water, that's after it's established.
Mature.
That's a good point.
So I try to make sure people know that, like, and it gets a little tricky too when you do have, a bee lawn on the outskirts and you are going to end up getting some creeping Charlie in there. There's nothing that you need to start out with a clean slate. You can use miso, you can use tenacity, whatever. You can use some of those things before you go, and you'll be better off. But eventually, if a dandelion gets in there or something, that can be one of the downfalls, or it can be difficult to kind of clean it up.
Makes sense.
But most people don't care at that point because,
right.
So what if there's, even if it's creeping Charlie that's flowering, that actually attracts a bee.
You're doing it for the bees, so
yeah, you can keep it out of your lawn. So you just got to make that stark line, and when it encroaches, you spray it.
Well, now I'm going to refer every single hater, lawn hater, to Twin City Seed or the bee lawn. right?
Perfect.
Because there's a lot of them. They come in herds. And
We're
they're
gonna
out
we're
with
gonna get rid of the hashtag no lawn and switch to hashtag be lawn.
Yeah,
There you
there you
go.
go. Start a
Yeah.
movement.
Let's do it.
Start a movement. That's awesome.
One of the big differences between Twin City Seed and a lot of the other seed companies out there that are going direct to consumer is we have relationships with more than 10 different vendors. So we are not just pulling from one company in Oregon and hoping that they put out the best varieties on the NTEP. So what I believe, and I'm trying to add vendors all the time. I just added one last week called Bailey Seed because they have two new perennial ryegrasses, Fireball and Hat Trick. I called them up, currently not working with them. They are awesome in the NTEPs. They already sent me samples for certain people to try. And so we're constantly identifying, and I am cold calling these companies to pick what I think should be in the market. Now, if I just had one vendor, I get what they put out. That's it. So the end consumer, if you want a mixture, and this is another thing we're going to eventually do, you just pick. You say, I want 25% of Fireball. I want 25% of this bluegrass. I want 25% of Mazama. Whatever you want, we will mix that up and send it to you. So if you identify a variety that you like, I want to have it for you.
I hope the grass version of Fireball is a lot better than the alcoholic version of Fireball.
I can handle it in moderation.
What
I-
cultivar was that again?
What's that?
What
Perennial
cultivar
rye.
was that again? Perennial rye.
Perennial rye. Yep.
Okay.
I like the hat trick one. That's very fitting for the hockey in Minnesota.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, so when the NTEPs come out, my employees and we scour everything, and we're kind of looking at it even more now, and getting in front of these vendors and seeing if we can carry it. So up until one of our biggest sellers is Mazama Kentucky Bluegrass. And up until last year, we had not had that variety. And I called that company is Vista Seed. And I called them and we had a conversation. I met with them in the fall at that Western Seed Association in Kansas City. And basically now their full lineup of seed, I can pull anything from that and any quality that I want. So, for example, Mazama was blue tag, yellow tag, both. And I think I still have 14,000 pounds.
Wow. That's
So,
awesome.
kind of the gist of what I'm hearing is if there's anything out there that you hear is an awesome variety that you think people are going to love, even if you don't have a relationship with them, you're going to try to form one and add them to your list of vendors that you can, present to people. Is that right?
Yeah. I kind of want to have everything that everybody
Yeah.
wants. And there's nobody else really like this in the country that has as many options as I do right now.
Well, it's a one-stop shop, and I think with your e-commerce that you guys have thrown into the mix here, I think that's amazing. People from all across the country, like Vince and I, are not nowhere, we're states away, but I mean, I'm not going to drive to Minnesota to get a bag of grass seed. So that's really awesome that you guys can offer that to people, especially with like what you're saying. So
Yeah, and I want to hear from viewers what they want. Like this may be my first opportunity to ask that because I have not asked that on our own social media channels. But I would like to know because I know people are scouring the NTEPs and whatever else research they're looking at. Let me know what you want to try, and I can always get some of it and maybe not 14,000 pounds of it, but we can get some.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So yeah, the e-commerce site, I know you touched on that. You're available to everybody. I shouldn't say everybody. You're available to what? The domestic U.S. North. Where are you shipping?
Continental.
Yep. We're shipping to the 48 on e-commerce. We can ship. We have shipped to Alaska and Hawaii through our Amazon channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we can ship, if people call us, we can ship to Alaska and Hawaii. We have been shipping to Canada also. We ran into a little bit of some customs issues where there's a little more documentation that we have to have. We did get quite a bit up there and we provided the right documentation, but we're going to take a pause and I'm going to figure that out so it's more seamless. We'll figure it out this winter and then we'll offer Canada again.
You mentioned having the blue tag, the gold tag, the importance of that. A little early on, you mentioned the NTEPs. Can you give us like a elevator speech of like what the NTEP is and why
Sure.
it's important?
Yep. So I like research, and I used to be an agronomy research assistant, and then was bumped up to more of a research lead in earlier years of my life and some internships. So I understand research, and I know how it can be manipulated. And the reason I like the NTEPs, and the biggest thing about the NTEP to me, is that those NTEPs are basically the same trial of turf grasses at many different locations throughout the United States. And so if you're in New York, or it might be the biggest buzz on the internet is like, you got to get this Mazama, and well, it's been tested out on the East Coast and it was not good out there. So you can really tailor it to your area instead of just taking somebody's word on a site, or even taking our word. Like, I want to be, Twin City Seed wants to be open and honest about what is going to work in your area. So the NTEPs really get into, the researchers are looking at those, the same trial, the same data points. They're all scoring the color and the quality. My biggest comment about the NTEP when people are looking at it and consumers are looking at it is what my vendors tell me, and I love how they state this, is if you make first page typically on an NTEP, it's good. And why they can state that is if you look at the LSD factor, the least significant difference factor, and it's at the bottom of every page, it will give you that number. So let's say the number one variety on that first page was a 7 and the LSD is a 0.5. If all of those on that first page are within that 0.5, so if they're 6.5 to 7, they are not statistically different. So if you say, we got the best one, it's number one, it is not statistically different. So I could have a variety that is number 27 on the list, for instance, on that first page, that is just as good statistically as that number one. So
That's good to know.
People get, we get inundated with statistics and kind of manipulated with it all the time. But my vendors are all, their goal is to make first page. Because
now, what characteristics does the NTEPs actually touch on? It gives it different ratings for different categories, right?
Correct. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, it gives.
And what are the big? I guess let's
loaded
focus.
question.
Let's focus on the big ones. Like what do people look at? Like,
Turf quality would be a big one. I know in the consumer world, it seems like color. So
Sure.
how dark is it? Seems to be disease resistance for sure in a lot of areas in the country. Some areas in the country don't have to worry about it quite as much, but if it's gray leaf spot resistance, whatever resistance to diseases, so you don't have to buy fungicides, and that's big. Cold tolerance is a big one in our area. Winter hardiness. Yeah, then they get really deep into like wear tolerance and
drought tolerance and shade tolerance, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, you guys listening, go check out type in Google the NTEPs and take a look at some of those. You can see what he's all talking about. It's really exciting stuff. I briefly looked into the NTEPs when I was trying to choose my seed, and just gaining an overall better knowledge of grass seeds and the different cultivars and what's good, what isn't, and stuff like that. So that little kicker of the percentage and the statistical value, that's actually really cool to know. I didn't know that before.
And when we say NTEPs, it's the letters NTEPS. So don't type in like ENTEPS. It's not a word. It's an acronym, right? So.
Right.
Yeah, National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
So
right?
Chris Googled it. So there we go.
Yeah,
there it is.
I'm not that smart.
Chris learned something. So I love it.
We hit on your e-commerce site. We hit on that you guys can ship all over the U.S. now. You can buy it on your website. Are you guys offering any deals right now? Any 5% off, 10% off any of your seeds? I know a lot of people are going to be wanting to do their seeding this fall coming up. So do you guys have anything going on?
Yep, we do. Just August 1st, we started 10% off all turf grasses. So that would be individual species and our blends. And then another coupon code you can put in for free shipping if you spend $75 or more.
Oh wow, that's pretty big.
That will probably
That's awesome.
That will go for quite a while. I don't have an end date for that. Trying to clear out the warehouse.
All right.
While supplies last. There you go.
Right.
There you go. That's awesome. And yeah, that's actually bigger than I think you just made it, right? 10% off plus if you get anything over $70 and on elite grass seed, you'll probably get that, right? Yeah. Which is a big cost savings to the consumer. So definitely look that up, especially for all these, fall projects and that are coming up. There's obviously a lot of you who are planning on doing that. So
that is so much closer than I thought it was too. Holy moly.
It's literally like go time in a week.
I got to start planning now.
Yeah, it was like 100 degrees here, and today it was cooler, and I'm like, it feels like fall. I'm like, dang, it's August. Fall's like next month. I'm like, got to plan for that.
Yeah, school's starting like in a couple weeks, guys. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is go time.
It's there. Yeah, we'll have snow on the ground before we know it, but
don't say that.
Got to get through the good part. The good part, it's coming. I'm telling you. No, that's good. So, well, this has been really fun and insightful. And Paul, I want to thank you, and obviously I want to thank your entire team. You guys have been awesome to me. You guys have been awesome to us. And it's been a pleasure to kind of build this relationship and obviously have you guys on the show. Certainly go and check out Twin City Seed. It's twincityseed.com. I think it's as easy as that. So go check them out. Go check the plethora of options that they have to the direct consumer on elite grass seed, and awesome people. I can attest for that firsthand. If you want to know a question and if you want to learn something, that is the right team to go and have a conversation with. So pick up the phone, give them a call. They will educate you on what is best for you. So
and refer
Paul,
to their website too. Their website's awesome.
Yep.
Refer to that.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
No doubt.
Don't
no doubt. But Paul,
feel free to call, please.
Yeah, no doubt. So Paul, I just want to thank you again. Thanks for the time. Thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure. But anything else to add before we wrap up?
No, I would say just stay tuned for next year because they're probably my goal is to have 40 plus new offerings in individual varieties in all categories.
So what he's trying to say is, y'all better watch out because we're about to do some big things. So follow Twin City Seeds, have their website on lock, and make sure you're following along. I'm following along. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. So yeah, keep an eye on him for sure. He was also telling us he needs his warehouse cleaned out. So go get some of that seeding so we can make way for the big things ahead.
It sounds like a challenge.
Yeah,
Accept it.
Yeah,
clear
you
the
won't.
warehouse challenge.
Yeah.
There you
You
go.
Pallet
You won't.
quantities. Right.
There you go. So, all right, you guys. Well, it's been a pleasure. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And thank you for following us along this whole entire time and listening to us. We will see you on the next episode on the flip side. You guys be well, stay safe, take care. Bye now.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
See you, everybody.